Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Please be in your seats with the seatbelt fastened as we cruise through the rough, turbulent winds. Well, in other words, this is episode 40 of If My Heart Wings, and I always try his best to get the glider up to the right altitude, so 1,000 meters above ground. And with his training so far, he's able to comfortably get up to 600 meters above ground. And based on his knowledge, he's trying to use rough weather like thermals to get up to the right altitude. And I hope he can handle rough flight okay, because he's only flown in a simulator mostly, and flying like this is quite risky. So while the glider is in flight, Kotori, Ageha, and the twins are quite amazed looking at something flying through really windy weather. So let's see how it goes from here and whether or not they are able to make it before the morning glory clouds disappear, and whether or not Kotori and Ageha gets their chances to fly up to the morning glory clouds with Aoi. So anyways, Kotori's like, oh, Aoi-kun! Well, he's concentrating right now, so don't bother him. Okay, so they're not even at 600 meters yet. Okay, so how is it up there? Okay, so he's trying his best, so So I think it's best to let Aoi concentrate on trying to get the glider up to the altitude. So they're only at 500 meters above ground. So what's the problem now? So the problem is that this thermal, it doesn't go all the way up to 1,000 meters, so I think they're gonna have to find another thermal, or they basically have to give this one up. So this is weak, and based on our progress, we won't be able to make it, or we won't be able to make it. So we won't be able to rise any higher from here. And the G-forces that felt so strong at first were now getting weaker. And we've risen to a certain extent, but we were now just maintaining our current altitude. So if we stay here like this, the thermal might grow and we might be able to gain stronger lift. Well, if we think about the time, it's quite likely that it will happen. So I think they're gambling on whether or not to stay in this thermal and hopefully it gets stronger, or they'll have to basically leave this thermal and find something else. So this is because the thermals get bigger as the sunlight hits the earth, which heats quicker than air, and with this level of heat, the air close to the ground warms up, causing thermals to occur. Okay. And since last night was so cool, while the morning sun hits the earth, more and more strong thermals will start rising. So basically they can start to find another thermal that will help them get up to altitude. But then it's like, well, I think this the time when the morning glory clouds will disperse. So if we wait a little longer for the sun to come up completely, the morning glory will disappear. There you go. So we're getting out of this thermal.
分かった。
So as we look up to the morning glory in the distance, we flew out of the thermal.
だいぶ流されているな。
So thermals are often thought to extend straight up like a pillar through the air, but actually they don't go straight up. So in the same way that smoke is blowing by the wind, thermals twist when hit by wind from the side. So I think it goes up at an angle, and that's what I was trying to note. So while we were climbing in the thermal that was leaning to one side because of the wind, we moved further away from the morning glory. So like, well, we can't use another thermal to reach the altitude, but then we have to travel back to the morning glory clouds, and that's going to take time. So the morning glory doesn't just stay in one place, and it's rotating as if it rolls, moving across the lake. So if it gets too far away, then we'll have no means of catching up with it other than falling to increase our propulsion, which makes things difficult. So it kind of contradicts what they're trying to do, because they can descend and gain speed, but then they lose altitude. So increasing speed. So I push the yoke downward, pointing the nose downwards. Or like I push the yoke forward. There you go. So while sliding down on the air, the glider accelerates. Okay. So whenever the nose is pointed downwards, the ground always comes into view. And Amane, who is scared of heights, stifles her screams. So she's trying her best not to scream and make it more difficult than it already is. Amane, so we'll be okay. This glider will not fall out of the sky. I'll make sure of that.
落ちてる。
And it looks like the twins are still looking at the glider.
嘘、そんなことないよ。ちゃんと飛んでる。
It's not falling, it's still in the sky.
でも、また高度が下がってるわ。サーマルを出たのね。この状況なら賢明な判断かも。
So it's quite interesting that they know about the thermals as well.
サーマル？
Thermal?
ねえ、サーマルって何？
Okay, so what's thermal?
なんでもないわ。
Oh, come on. So if you have to bring up a new word, why be afraid of trying to define it? Maybe it's too hard to explain?
でも、このままじゃ落ちる一方よ。次のサーマルを早く見つけないと。
So we caught up with it.
けど、高度もだいぶロスしたぞ。
But then we lost a lot of altitude. So to get back the altitude that we lost, we searched for the next thermal. And in theory, they occur more easily above ground that looks like soil or wide areas of asphalt, like parking lots.
あそこはどうだ？
So this place, maybe we'll have a good chance. So my points towards the runway from which we have taken off. It was a wide area of soil. In the sunlight, it certainly met the conditions needed for thermals to be made easily. Alright?
あれ？なんか戻ってきたよ。着陸する気かな？
So to Kotori and Ageha, they think that Aoi and Amane are about to land.
まさかトラブル？
Problem?
葵くんどうしたの？何があったの？
So they radio Ioi like, what's going on? Don't panic. We're just searching for another thermal, so we're all right.
トラブルじゃないのね。
No problem? Yeah, that's right.
けどこの時間帯じゃサーマルを見つけるのも大変よね。ちょうどいい場所にこれから発達しそうな雲でもあればいいんだけど。他に何か目印はないの？
So where else can they find a thermal?
あとは実際に飛んでみるしか。
So even Ageha doesn't know.
もう少しなのに。双眼鏡貸して。何かないか探してみる。
So we did get some lift above the runway after all, but it was very weak. And it wasn't enough to raise the heavy double-seater glider. It must be because the ground hasn't warmed up enough to create strong thermals. Ah, damn. Are there any around here? So in the meantime, the glider is gradually descending. Uh-oh. And then the wind came. Perhaps because of the influence of the morning glory, the airflow is being disturbed. The glider wobbles as it is, hit by the strong winds, temporarily reducing the lift and causing a drop in altitude. And I start to feel impatient. Uh-oh, this is gonna be a bad sign. So should we have stayed over there after all then?
でもそれだと。
So the cloud form from before was moving even further away from the direction we wanted to head to. And even if we can rise to the altitude we need, we would be too late. So how much time has passed since we took off? And meanwhile, the sky has become brighter and has changed from morning glow to a light blue. So I guess we have to let this one go so we can't reach the morning glory clouds. So Amane mumbles to herself, while looking up at the passage of cloud stretching across the sky. Wait, no, that's not true. It's right in front of us. Well, I guess we can see some of it then. Well, we'll do something about it. So Kotori and Ageha are also looking for clouds from the ground. And we haven't reached the time limit yet.
やっぱりだいぶ高度を下げてる。サーマルを見つけられないのね。
Okay.
どうしよう。このままじゃあの綺麗な雲に届かないよ。頑張っても上昇気流が吹かないんじゃどうしようもないわね。トンビが飛んでるわ。
Wait, a kite?
グライダーも鳥さんみたいに羽をバサバサやって飛べればいいのにね。
Well, unfortunately, it's a glider.
だからエンジンを乗せればいいのにって。
Well, if it has an engine, it's not a glider anymore.
あら、どうしたのヨロちゃん。こっちへ来るみたい。
Wait, it's coming this way.
あ、本当だ、こっちに来る。頑張れ、変ね。こっちの空にもそれらしい雲なんてないのに。
So why would it come over here if there's no clouds or anything that will help them gain altitude? That's kind of odd. But for the first girl, it's like, do your best, do your best, do your best. So you're right, Kotori.
間違いない。双眼鏡じゃ
Okay, so Kotori is using her binoculars to help them look for something that looks like a thermal, and that'll help them gain altitude. So in response to Kotori's transmission, we headed across the lake towards Windmill Hill. And there should be some thermals over here. But there aren't any clouds that seem to indicate thermals.
サーマルがあるからといって必ずしも雲が作られるわけじゃない。
It's like, well, just because it has no clouds does not mean that there are no thermals.
それに多分丘が斜面になっているせいだと思う。
Maybe the slope is contributing to the lift. So do you mean that thermals occur more easily above slopes?
ああ、
Yep.
太陽光は地表に対して斜めに降り注いでいるだろう。けど斜面になっていればその光を正面から受けられる。その分エネルギーが集中して温まりやすいんだ。
Well, it's true. So the sloping surface of the hill that we are heading toward is shining from being in the direct light of the morning sun. So how's this, Kotori?
いたいた、見つけた。さっきよりかなり高くまで上がってる。間違いない。トンビよ。
So the kite. So we can't confirm that from where we, or like what we are doing right now, but it seems that a kite is flying above the hill. And kites are birds that gliders, or like that glide to high altitudes using upward drafts. So in other words, there is a thermal over here. And however, that does not necessarily mean that there's enough lift to raise a heavy double-seated cedar glider. But there's nothing else left for us to try. I didn't think of anything other than aiming for that point. Eventually the glider crossed the lake and approached the air above Windmill Hill. Okay, so how's this one? Whoa, wow. So suddenly we were shaken vertically. And the barometer told us that the glider had dropped sharply. Uh-oh. So we've been caught in a downward draft. I panicked, and at the next moment, we felt a huge impact. Okay, so I think this one is more effective, and they're going up in altitude. Suddenly, it felt like we were being pushed from below, and the glider steadily floated upwards. And then a little later, the barometer informs us that we are rising. And we had ridden a thermal. So this is pretty strong. We can do this, Amane. And it's all thanks to Kotori. So I wonder what the altitude is now. Yeah, so way to go, Kotori. Thanks. Hey, I like praise. I like being praised. So, can they go all the way up now? So, they got pretty strong lift. I think they can make it. Or like, I think we can make it. So leave it all to me. Yeah, so on the wings that you guys have made. Oops, sorry. Well, that was a strong thermal, and based on the geography in the landform below, it really helped contribute to that really big thermal that they were looking for.
理屈なら説明できるけど聞きたい？いい。聞いてもわからないし、それにあんなの理屈で説明できるわけないと思う。理屈がないとあんな大きなもの飛べないわよ。
Well, theories help. They kind of give a explanation about what's going on, but there are often cases where it doesn't match with what theory said. It may differ from what theory said. Because theories like okay, so theories basically, it's some idea. It's not 100% true, but there's lots of supporting evidence to support the claim. And so anyways, before we know, the powerful thermals occurring above Windmill Hill had lifted us high in the sky. And we were getting closer and closer to the morning glory. Okay, so we're getting closer, Amane. So the clouds that formed below looked small and intermittent, were actually getting pretty big when we got close to them. So I wonder how wide they are. At the very least, they would comfortably be able to cover the width of the glider. And they stretched out to around the distance needed to go diagonally across the lake. Well, it's okay. If we can keep going above the clouds, it should be easy to pass across them. So the thermal that we were riding was pretty powerful. And as Amane had just explained, the slope of the hill is hit directly by the sunlight, so it heats up quickly. In other words, that means that the difference in temperature is bigger compared to the surrounding areas. So if there's no difference in temperature, then the thermals will not be created, and if the difference is big, then strong thermals will be made. Well, that's kind of self-explanatory. So the upward draft that Kotori had found for us feels strong enough to take us all the way up to the horizon. And while this is happening, the sun is rising and the air temperature is also increasing. So morning glory occurs for about 2 hours from the beginning of dawn. Okay, come on. Just a little more, we'll make it. So I'm getting patient. However, if we try too hard, we'll lose balance and we might lose all altitude. So while checking the rate of ascent on the barometer, I turn the glider to arm or aim for the core of the thermal, the most efficient part, or effective. And eventually, the glider that Amane and I were riding reached the altitude of the morning glory that we were aiming for. So they finally made up to 1,000 meters, more or less. And then we had soon risen above that and reached a position where we could view it from above. Okay, so they're above the morning glory altitude. Ooh, so look, Amane. Here it is. So I knew she'd be looking at it, but I said it anyways. Well, it's because I was so moved. If there's anyone who wouldn't be moved to see a spectacle like this, or like, is there anyone? And with the bluish-purple sky in the background, the passes of clouds shone as they were bathed in the pale pink sunlight. And words like beautiful wouldn't really express it all. And the word that came into mind was divine. Wow. So by trembling, my trembling hands grip the yoke to gain an altitude to allow us to stay above the clouds. I turned to the thermal. So I glanced at the front seat and I saw Amane from the side. So I wonder what comments Amane has. So her eyes were open wide like a little kid as she looked at the patch of clouds stretching across the sky. And so it really reminds Amane of Isuka in the past. So Amane, so can you get the camera then? So how about a picture of this? Oh, okay, yeah. So before we took off, Ageha had given her digital camera. She asked us to take a picture if we were able to fly above the morning glory. And now they are. So this was the perfect viewpoint looking across the clouds. Okay, so I have one photo. Alright, so let's go to that place. So Mai nodded as if preparing herself for the ultimate event. So we didn't come here to look at the clouds. We came to pass across them. And once we had gained enough altitude, I tilted the yoke and turned the glider. So here it comes. So it's time for us to go. The airflow here was calm and we could fly without being shaken by crosswinds. And in the upper parts of the sky, there were hardly any clouds and the clear light blue gradient spread out in all directions. And while paying attention to our rate of descent, we travel across the space of crystal clear light. And we're approaching the passage of light. Rolling airflow occurs around the clouds, and if we can ride that, we can pass along the passage of clouds as far as we want. Ooh, so we've arrived. So the morning glory was right there at our fingertips. And as I thought that, uh-oh. So I wonder what happened. All of a sudden it happened. So I wonder what happened because it didn't really look very pleasant. So as our views swung round, the divine road of cloud that should have been there in front of us in a space of moment was getting further away. We suddenly lost lift, and then a few moments later we realized that the glider was rapidly descending. So I think they stalled, and that's quite dangerous. Uh-oh. So I quickly pulled at the yoke, but there was no response. The field of vision spun around, and we couldn't even figure out if we were facing up or down. So what's this? What's going on? So, did he stall? However, there are no signs that it was going to happen. Well, I'm sure the airflow around the morning glory clouds, that was unpredictable, it was chaotic, and they should have... Well, then again, it was their first time going up to this phenomenon, so it's just like... Yes, it was just like there was no air and we had lost all of our lift. So are we falling? So even Kotori notices that something isn't right. So I'm kind of worried that Aoi's unconscious from all the G-forces and his loss of orientation or spatial orientation. I can't deal with this right now. And in a deep stall, he's literally panicking, struggling, trying to find some way to regain the control of the glider. So the surface of the lake appeared from the other side of the canopy. We were falling with the nose pointing straight down. Okay, I'll level it out. So, in the heat of the moment, I didn't know which controls I used. Anyways, I tried to lift the nose up and stabilize the wings. So how's that? Did it help? So a shock ran through me that felt like the fuselage might be crushed. So to us, the pilots, the vibration passed through our bodies, and for a moment I thought we had crashed. So I think they're able to level out, and it's because the air here is more steady, it's more controllable, and, well, you know, compared to the Morning Glory Clouds area. So it looks like it. So the nose and the wings leveled out, and the glider had gained lift and was floating. So we were 200 meters from the surface of the water. And in a moment, we have fallen almost 800 meters. So if it was a few meters or seconds later, it would have been too late, and they would have crashed. So my whole body trembled with the fear and relief. So, are you okay, Amane? So, her shoulders were shaking, but her reply was okay. So what the hell happened just now? There were no signs that the airflow had become separated from the main wings, in other words, a stall. So it is often said that it can occur without warning, but for it to occur somewhere that has such stable airflow. Well, I'm sure the Morning Glory Clouds area doesn't have stable airflow, as what they anticipated. Oh, so a strong downward draft. So you mean just now? So if that were true, it was pretty strong. So do you think things like this really happen? Okay, so downbursts. Downbursts are powerful downward drafts. So if a downburst, a giant mass of air falls to Earth, it's powerful enough to cause severe damage. And if we were swallowed by something like that, we wouldn't stand a chance. So the place where we were was in the vicinity of the center of the lake, like Amane was saying. So we were so distracted by the morning glory that we lost sight of our own position. Okay, so that kind of makes sense why Aoi lost his spatial orientation. And because of the lake, the air cools, and it's possible that a strong downward draft would be created. And if the air itself falls down, a glider, which floats using the power of the air, would have no chance but to be taken down with it. And that might be why we lost lift and fell, suddenly without any warning signs. So we heard Kotori's tearful voice over the radio. So we're okay. So somehow we managed to level it out. So now they're also wondering what's going on, or like what happened. Well, we don't know. Amaya said that we might have been caught in a strong downward draft. So a little more and we would be upside down in the lake. Well, that's in the best scenario. The worst thing is that your glider's in pieces.
こら、小鳥の心臓が止まっちゃうから。
Come on, don't say things like this. Well, I'm sorry, but we're all right now.
今の何が起こったの？さあ、わからない。故障したのか、あるいは強い下降気流に巻き込まれたのか。でも
But still,
なんとか落ちる前に立て直したようね。危なかったわ。もう少し遅れたら死んでたかも。やっぱり人が空を飛ぶのって危ないことだよね。そうね。
that's true.
翼を持たない人間が空に憧れるのは勇気がいるし危険なこと。姉さん？
Wait, sis? So the morning glory. So I quickly look above, and it looks like it's getting smaller and smaller. So the place where we were just now is much further away. And it's dazzling to think that we were so high up. Okay, so let's go one more time. Well, I hope they have enough time before this disperses.
無理だ、葵くん。もう間に合わない。
Well, it's too late. It's going to disperse by the time we make it up there. Really? Well, we won't know unless we try. So as I shouted, I looked to the sky. And at some point, the dawn sky had disappeared, and the sky was now filled with a clear blue color. So exposed to the sunlight, the passage of clouds was nothing like it was at the beginning, and it was thinning out and gradually disappearing. There you go. So it's dispersing, or being dispersed. So I turned the glider towards Windmill Hill. And if we have the powerful thermals from before, we might be able to make it. Okay, so he wants to try again. Okay, so I'll take Amane there. Well, I'm pretty sure Amane wants to land and have some relief from that sudden downward draft. But still...
あそこへ行くことはできなかったけど、イスカが見せたかった景色をほんの少し見ることができた。
Well, I'll take this. I know that I wasn't able to see the morning glory clouds, but this will be enough.
それで十分だよ。
There you go. But Amane... So Amane looked through the canopy at the clouds above.
これでさよならだ。
Well, I guess this is it. So Amane whispers along with the passage of clouds, faded away into the sky. So the last day of the summer holiday. So Amane.
いや、葵くん、どうしたんだ？こんな朝早くから。
Well, that's my line. You weren't in the dormitory, so I thought you might be here. So I woke up early, but I didn't see Amane anywhere, and all her things in her room were carefully packed away.
みんなが来る前に片付けておこうと思ってね。
So yeah, I'm packing up. I'm getting ready to leave.
これからすぐ父のラボへ移るんだ。
And I'm already ready to move to my dad's lab. So today is the last day of the summer holiday. And in other words, the day Amane leaves school. Well, we still have one more day though. But it doesn't really do much.
でももうすることがないだろ。
So yeah, one day isn't really much, and there's nothing else we can do. So everyone was planning to get up before dawn again and go to the runway. Well, we didn't think that a miraculous phenomenon would occur 2 days in a row, but even so, we wanted to believe there was a slight chance. However, I knew that we wouldn't be able to do it again so soon. At that time, we were caught in a downward draft, and then forcibly pulling up the aircraft meant it sustained huge G-forces and damaging parts of the glider. Okay, so the glider got some damage. It was handling too much force that it was designed to handle, and they have to have it repaired. So it's possible to fix it, but at the very least, there was no hope that we will be able to fly today. And Amane's objective was to fly to the morning glory. And now that goal has been achieved, there was nothing left to do. So you haven't seen any of the others, have you? So why not?
今年の夏休みは楽しかったからな。ここを離れるのが辛くなってしまう。すまないが、君から何か言っておいてくれないか。私はどうも言葉にするのが苦手なんだ。
So Maya speaks with a really troubled look on her face and continued to pack all of the things she had organized into a large travel bag. So she's been living here for a long time, so she has a lot of personal items here. So I'll help you carry it then.
いや、いい。どうせいらないものばかりだ。持てない分は置いていくよ。
Well, I don't mind leaving some of the other stuff here because it's not really anything special and... So Maya speaks while gazing at her desk, which is still cluttered. As she looks it over, her gaze stops at the photo frame. So are you leaving behind this too? Yes. She smiles as if to say, well, even if I took it with me, I wouldn't know what to do with it. So seeing her sad smile made all the feelings of regret that I bottled up come pouring out. Well, I'm going to continue it then. So I'm proved, and I will definitely fly to the morning glory in the glider that you and the others have made. Well, that is if they're somehow able to work around the evil teacher, Tobika Sensei's plan to shut this club down for good, and his little dream of forcing all the remaining people to be in his robotics club. So Maya nods, and after thinking for a moment, puts her bag and stands in front of me. So she takes my hand and holds it gently. And in the garage, which doesn't have air conditioning, it's as hot as a sauna. So my hands are covered in sweat, but hers are smooth and as soft as freshly washed sheets. And then Amane, with eyes like a little kid's, but a little more grown up than yesterday, looks at me in the eyes.
ありがとう、葵くん。君たちのおかげで最後にあの場所へ行くことができた。見上げることしかできなかった空へ。
So as Amane speaks, she has a small yet fulfilled smile. So how about Isuka's feelings? I wanted to ask her if she understood the reason why Isuka had become so obsessed with gliders.
正直、よくわからないままだ。けど、だから、ありがとうだ。
Oops, I went too fast, Seika. Well, thank you. So Amane shuts her eyes and hugs me gently. Well, to tell the truth, I thought I was going to cry.
ここにあるものは好きに使ってくれ。 滑走路にあるウィンチもソアリング部の備品だ。
It's like, well, I'll leave behind all the facilities that you can't use, like the winch. So what about the designs? So the designs had been left on the drawing board.
一応昨晩完成させたんだが、私にはもう必要のないものだ。
It's like, well, if I'm going to the laboratory, that has no purpose, so I'll leave it behind.
すまないが、いらないなら捨てておいてくれ。
Okay, it's like, well, if you don't need them, you can just toss it in the trash. Well, I can't do that. And you worked so hard on these drawings, so...
さてと、そろそろ行かないとバスの時間に間に合わない。
So Maya puts her bag on her shoulder, and she staggers slightly under the weight. So I'll walk with you to the bus stop then.
あ、頼む。
So she gives a smile so crisp and sunny as the summer sky to the garage and then leaves it behind. And the garage where she spent so many years shut away inside.
最高に楽しい夏休みだったな。
So next day, so the first day of the new school term. And what are we going to do now that we don't have enough members? Well, we can't ask Anchan to help every time we want to do a flight. So what would we do about transporting the glider? Or what should I do about getting my pilot's license? And while feeling downhearted and a sense of loss now that Amane had left, we discussed our plans for a club on the way to the school this morning. And when it comes to continuing the activities of the soaring club, Kotori, Ageha, and I are all of the same opinion. So next time, we'll definitely fly there to the passes of clouds. Our dream that we were so close to but had not yet achieved. However, it was right there, right at my fingertips. And with that sense of reality, the dream was no longer just a dream. And now we all had a clear goal in mind. And all three of us had clearly envisioned this in our minds. And that's why we don't have time to feel down. And the thing that awaited us was a umbrella, or like an unbelievable spectacle. So I wonder what happened. So no entry was written on the signboard, and on the other side, heavy machinery had made a hole in the wall of the garage and had smashed in the roof. And I'm pretty sure this was planned by the Tobika Sensei teacher. So Kotori and Ageha are lost for words before this horrific spectacle. I stood there stunned and desperately tried to think of what could have happened. But there's no way I could comprehend it. The place until yesterday where we could gather and spend time together every day has suddenly been destroyed. So my knees were shaking. It felt like all the strength had left my body, and then intense rage burned inside me. So wait, what the hell is this all about? As I approached the person who seemed to be the foreman, he just looks back at me with a troubled look on his face. Of course, these people have been asked to do this. They're just here to do the demolition work. But I had no other outlet for my emotions. So wait, why are you doing this then? Well, okay, so the teacher's like, well, I wanted this to happen. So as soon as Amaya leaves, I will destroy this club and make sure it'll never happen again for the safety of all you people. So Tobiyuki Sensei just glared at me like I was being unreasonable towards the workers. So meaning if I had any complaints, then I should talk to him about it. But then again, he won't listen, so... Okay, so I'll talk to him about it. Alright. Okay, so I always stands up and like, Mr. Tobiyuki Sensei, what is this all about?
さっき言った通りだ。夏休みが終わればソアリング部は廃部。ここは取り壊される予定だった。
I told you, once Amane leaves, it's over, and I ordered this place to be demolished.
まだ私たちがいる
部活動と認められるには人数が足りんだろう。今まで多めに見てやってたんだ。もう容赦はせん。
Well, I'm pretty sure clubs are given a grace period to show that they can get enough members. And I'm sure most cases they will understand that one member's graduated. So they would give clubs enough time to find a replacement member. Not just go right to the end like, that's it. Your club is done.
そんなの横暴です。私たちには部活動をする自由が認められてるはずです。
活動したければ勝手にやれ。同好会としてな。
Well, there's nothing you can do now, so say whatever you want. But this is reality. Chibioka, you son of a bitch!
葵。
So without thinking, I was about to go nuts, but Agaha stopped me at the last moment. Oh, so he did, or she helped him hold back.
葵、ダメだよ。
Oh, so he's gonna beat up Tobiyuki Sensei with physical force.
工事の邪魔はするなよ。もっとも、もう手遅れだろうがな。
We'll do whatever you want, cause it's over. So with those his parting words, Tobiyuki Sensei turns to leave. And we stare dumbfounded at the demolition work. Like he said, we were already too late.
やりたいことが見つかったのに。こんなのないよ。あんまりよ。
Sagaha hardly says anything as she quietly watches the demolition. As for me,
ちょっと葵くん。
wait a minute, look at that. So I climbed over the no entry fence and walked into the garage.
ちょっと君、何してるの？危ないよ。
Hey, it says no entry, so keep out. The foreman from behind or before hurling rushes over. Sorry, well, this won't take long. So I say as I push past him. And then I stepped inside the hall, or like the half-destroyed garage. And panicking, the foreman stops the machinery.
葵くん。葵。
So the inside of the garage was also badly crushed, smashed to smithereens, along with our memories. Emotionless, I rummage through it and pick out the things I was looking for. Oh, sorry about this. Oh, so it's okay now. I lowered my head in bow of apology to the workers and stepped outside the no entry boards. Okay, so let's go then.
葵くん。
So Kotori's looking at Aoi and she's like, "Are you okay, Aoi?" So I'm going to stop it for this episode. And it was quite interesting going from excitement to depression. And if it wasn't for the downdraft, Aoi would have taken Amane up through the morning glory clouds, as Amane wished for many years ago with Isuka. And with regards to the demolition, I'm sure the teacher Tobiyuki Sensei, he wanted this to happen from the very beginning. And he's been trying hard to find some way to legitimately disband the soaring club. And I sincerely hope he's not expecting that any of these people, so Agaha definitely, Kotori and Aoi, to join his beloved robotics club. And history tells me that this is not going to work. So even though they don't have a physical building to have activities for a soaring club, I'm sure the club can still exist elsewhere, and they can always find somewhere else to build up this club. And I wonder if there are other ways that Tobika Sensei can use to go after them. And I wonder if the faculty and administrative staff, they agree with Tobika Sensei's plan to destroy the garage, because it costs money to demolish a building. So anyways, with regards to the downdraft, that actually caused an accident in the past. Delta Airlines Flight 191. And what happened was that the pilots, they were trying to land at the Dallas airport, but then something weird happened and it pushed the airplane onto the ground early, and the pilots lost control and they crashed into 2 water towers, and it led to deaths of many passengers. But then when they were investigating why it crashed, they actually tested flying the airplane through downdrafts. They're trying to teach pilots how to handle a downdraft. And there was one instrument that really helped, and that was the Doppler radar. And that instrument is now standard in every passenger aircraft. But I'm pretty sure the glider does not have it because that's a very expensive instrument to have. So anyways, back to this story. We're only about, I'll say like 80 or 90%, or maybe 70% through the common route. And even though there's no physical building for a soaring club and a glider, I'm sure there's something special that I have yet to see. So maybe the glider is still in okay condition, it's damaged but repairable, and I have a feeling that they may set this club up again somewhere else out of Tobika Sensei's reach. And once again, I hope that Ageha does not rejoin the robotics club, much to his wishes. So with that in mind, I will see you in the next episode.